Boldwood presents It's Not Me, It's You, written by Jo Lovett and read by Imogen Church and Ludo Morgan. Chapter 1. Freya. Go, Freya! Maud, my 81-year-old neighbour, fist bumps me. You're going to smash it. She learns what she calls young person vocab and her supportive fist actions from avid Netflix watching. I've already got the TV on, waiting for your appearance. Don't want to miss you. I smile at her. We both know that Wake Up Britain doesn't start for another hour, and my slot isn't for another 3 hours. It's Valentine's Day, and I've been invited onto the nation's most watched daytime TV talk show to talk about love. I'm a romance novelist. Together with a divorce lawyer, I'm guessing he's there to provide a balance, talking about the opposite of love. I've been on TV a couple of times before to talk about my books, but this is the first time it's been such a high-profile slot. In Maud's eyes, anyway. She's a huge fan of the show. Thank you, I hug her. I'll come straight round when I get home and fill you in on all the details. I can't wait. Remember, try to get a look at Sonia's label. Maud likes to know where celebs buy their clothes to feed her online shopping habit. She orders a lot of clothes, tries them on and does fashion parades for me, and then I return about 95% of them for her. Luckily, the post office is only just round the corner. Sonia, the Wake Up Britain host, famously espouses the I am not about my clothes and I will therefore not tell the media where I bought them approach, while simultaneously wearing very statementy garments at all times, even when perhaps nipping to her local shop for a pint of milk. On it, I say, as my phone pings to tell me that my Uber's arrived. Wake Up Britain are very generous on taxis, it seems. Also, don't forget my autograph, Maud calls after me. On that too, I shout as I disappear out of her front door. 2 3/4 hours later, I'm at the studio in full makeup and a dress from the show's wardrobe, ready to go. They've slapped on a lot of makeup, but obviously they know best and, frankly, after getting up at the crack of dawn, I can do with any help I can to look human. I never usually have to get up early. One of the perks of being a writer and setting my own schedule. And the bags under my eyes this morning were big. The dress they've chosen for me is very cleavagey, but again, apparently they know best, and that's what will work for TV. I've noted the label for Maud's benefit. Apparently it's a good one. Aspirational, but attainable. Time to come and meet Jake Stone, says Soraya, the very nice girl who brought me some super strong coffee earlier when I was nodding off in the makeup chair. Jake is the divorce lawyer I'm being interviewed with. Great, thank you. I practice one last warm smile in the mirror in front of me. I'm beginning to feel a little nervous now, and I do not want to freeze on live TV before following her down a corridor and into a room holding one other person who I presume is the lawyer. He has his back to me, and I can't help noting that it's a particularly fine back. In my defence, I do have to note these things. It's literally part of my job. I need inspiration for my male protagonists. The man's back is, well, yes, gorgeous. He's tall, not a complete prerequisite for a romantic hero, but definitely helpful, and broad-shouldered and slim-hipped. And as he turns to greet us, I catch a glimpse through his smart navy jacket of muscle flexing, or rippling, one might say, if writing romance. As he faces me, I do my absolute best not to look as though I'm ogling him or reacting at all to the fact that from the front, he's just as good swoon-worthy hero material as he is from the back. Your basic, classically handsome, strong-jawed, tan-skinned, brown-eyed, great-haired hero. His hair is thick, slightly curly, and dark brown. Mid-30s, 2 or 3 years older than my 35, I'd guess. A very good age for a romantic hero. For my books, not for me. I don't do real-life romance. I like the way he has his hair slightly long but not too long, just curling over his collar, and how when he begins to speak his mouth quirks slightly irregularly. The tiny imperfection makes him even more gorgeous. I am, I have to admit, ogling. Until his perfect lips form into the hint of a sneer, and he says, in an incredibly frosty tone, "Freya Cassidy, I presume." I don't like his weirdly unpleasant manner, but I do note that his voice is ideal for a hero. Deep, but not uncomfortably so. Yes, I smile politely, deciding to ignore his strange coldness. "Jake Stone?" He nods, and then, after a slightly too long pause, proffers his hand in pre-shaking position. The way he holds it does not look as though he's going for a polite handshake. It looks as though someone's forcing him to receive something like a bag of very grim dog poo. I put my own hand into his anyway. Our shake lasts for approximately 1/4 of a second before he releases my fingers. All I can think is that I'm glad that didn't happen on national television. We'd both look like idiots. I really cannot understand why he seems to dislike me on sight. Oh, maybe he caught a glimpse of my ogling. Whoops. Well, whatever. It isn't like I know him. We just have to be pleasant to each other during our interview, and then we'll never see each other again. And with no further ogling evidence, he'll probably think that he was mistaken and defrost towards me. "Great that you already know who you both are," says Soraya brightly. "I'll leave you to get to know each other for a few minutes before I come and collect you to take you on set." "Thank you," I say, equally brightly. Jake smiles in very pleasant hero-like fashion at Soraya before nodding totally unsmilingly in my direction and taking himself over to a sofa on the opposite side of the room and arranging himself on it in such a way that I couldn't possibly share it with him without intruding very weirdly into his personal space. So I sit on one of the 2 extremely uncomfortable upright chairs next to me. The silence that spreads between us is peculiar. So after a minute or 2, I say, "I understand that you're a divorce lawyer." He raises one eyebrow like, "How dare you speak to me?" and then says, "Correct." I'm beginning to feel really quite irritated. What's wrong with him? I mean, this is just rudeness. I'm going to slay him with polite courtesy, I decide. "I write romantic fiction," I say, with a politely courteous smile. "Right." He manages to make the word sound very similar to "fuck off." Frankly, I'd just like to swear back at him because this is ridiculous. I am, however, going to continue to rise above his unfriendliness. "It's beautiful weather today," I venture, the smile still fixed. He raises the eyebrow again like, "Wow, "You're very boring," before saying, "Yep." And that's it. I decide not to say anything else because I'm edging towards serious irritation now, and I don't feel as though it would be good to have an argument with someone straight before I go on live TV with them. Also, I'm very confused. I don't argue with people. And I'm literally thinking about arguments with this person after having exchanged max 30 words with him. He's crazy, I'd decide. Or a massive misogynist, or he has a migraine and hates all people today, or something. Whatever. We'll do the interview, and then that will be that. I take a deep, calming breath and stare out of the window at the featureless building opposite. This is going to be fine. This man will definitely not behave like this on actual TV. Nothing is going to go wrong. Maud, my family, my friends, my readers, they will all see me, and it will be fine.
Chapter 2. Jake. I have no interest in making polite conversation with Freya Cassidy. The woman's a homewrecker. Well, her books are. And clearly her books are an extension of her. This is a lesson in thinking before saying yes, however busy I might be in that moment. When I was asked to do this interview, I should have spent 10 seconds considering who my unnamed co-interviewee might be. It does, of course, make complete sense to include a divorce lawyer and a romance writer on the same Let's Talk About Everlasting Love Valentine's panel. I could have foreseen that. Or at least asked. Miss Cassidy clears her throat and uncrosses her neatly crossed ankles and recrosses them the other way round. I hold an imaginary bingo card at the ready to see what banality she will come out with next. Weather? Travel? Whether I've been on TV before? It's surprising. You'd think an author who'd sold millions of books would have better conversation. Although, to be fair to her, I'm giving her absolutely nothing to work with. "Did you have far to travel this morning?" she asks. Bingo. "Not really," I say, repressively. She raises one perfectly shaped eyebrow, just very slightly, implying, I think, that she believes me to have been unnecessarily rude. I feel a flash of annoyance. I'm not a rude person, ever. Except, yes, apparently I have just been rude. I'm talking to Freya Cassidy, though, and while I haven't met her before, I do know that I don't like her. Or, more specifically, that I don't like her work. I should really be mature enough to make polite conversation, however. "A half-hour journey," I elaborate. And then I add, "How was your journey?" Her objectively, and annoyingly, beautifully shaped lips curve into a small smile. I do not, of course, know her personally, but I would say that's a victorious smile. I'm guessing she was doing her best to goad me into actual conversation. I find my own lips twitching in response, which annoys me. "Very good, thank you." She gives me a long, appraising look for a moment, before continuing, "I'm not an early riser. On the occasions that I am out and about at the crack of dawn, I do enjoy seeing London waking up." "Yeah," I agree, politely. "That is cool." She nods. I nod too. I don't know why. And then we settle back into silence. I take my phone out and check my emails, and mentally run down what I'll be doing for the rest of today, until I'm dragged back to now by a young woman knocking on the door and coming into the room. "Hi, Soraya." Miss Cassidy greets her with a beam, as though they're best friends. I presume they only met this morning, though. Soraya returns her smile and says, "I hope you've had a lovely time getting to know each other. Just letting you know that you'll be on in a couple of minutes." "Great," we reply simultaneously, as Soraya disappears again. "Have you been on TV before?" Miss Cassidy asks. Yes, but not on this kind of show. I have some very high-profile clients, so sometimes I have to read statements out to the media, but I see no reason to mention that now. You? I'm genuinely interested, despite myself, in how much media exposure she's had. Yes, a few times. On local news programmes and a few other chat and magazine-type shows like this. My publisher has a very good publicity department, and they're fantastic at getting authors slots like this. To maximise the number of people who will get sucked into reading her books, and thus have their perception of reality warped. Good for them, I say, with great insincerity. Yep. She stands up and smooths the skirt of her dress, which makes me wonder whether she's a little anxious about the interview. I'm not nervous, just keen to get the interview out of the way and then get on with the rest of my over-busy day. I'm here because no publicity is bad publicity, according to my fellow partners at work. The more people have heard of us, the more they'll send their business our way. I already have enough business, but thought, how hard can it be? And said yes anyway, for the greater good of the firm. When everyone else decided I'd be the best person for the job. Mistake. The door opens. Soraya's back. Let's go, she says. Miss Cassidy does the skirt smoothing again, and also gives both sides of the chest of her dress a little inwards tug. It's quite revealing on the top half. I'm guessing from the way she seems to be trying to rearrange the dress that she isn't comfortable with that. Presumably, she was given it to wear by the wardrobe people. You look beautiful, Freya, Soraya tells her, obviously having noticed that she doesn't look entirely at ease. She's right. Objectively, she does look beautiful. She has very thick, long hair, mainly down, but with some bits up, which frames her heart-shaped face very attractively. And whoever chose the dress and high heels she's wearing did a good job. I can't imagine anyone else wearing them better, frankly. The dress has deep pink and red flowers, presumably in a nod to Valentine's Day. I was told to either bring a pink tie of my own or borrow one from them. I brought one. And suits her dark blonde hair and creamy skin, and the heels are red and shiny, and combined with the swishy skirts of the dress, reveal excellent legs. Wow. I have no idea why I'm cataloguing what the woman is wearing. She's been thanking Soraya, and they've been chatting about nail varnish while I've been lost in my own peculiar thoughts. Makeup people swoop towards us. I tell them I'm absolutely fine, thank you. Miss Cassidy submits to having something powdery brushed on her cheeks and forehead, and black eye stuff touched up, while the woman wielding the brushes gives her some advice about how to hold herself on camera. When the woman's finished, I can't see a difference, if I'm honest. Miss Cassidy looked ridiculously beautiful before. She still does. I have no idea why I can't think of her as Freya. We aren't in the 19th century. I'm just too irritated by her actual existence, though. Right. We're finally going on. As we walk down the corridor, Soraya calls, "Enjoy!" after us. I look at Miss Cassidy's perfectly proportioned profile and feel yet another wave of real annoyance that she has this butter wouldn't melt look while she's regularly ruining people's lives. When she smiles at me and says with an ironic little eye roll, "Well, let's have fun. Here's to love and Valentine's Day." All I can do is respond with an eye roll of my own. At her, though, not with her.
Chapter 3. Freya. Freya Cassidy, writer of romance, purveyor of happily ever afters. Maud's heroine, Sonia, the national treasure, longest-standing presenter of Wake Up Britain, smiles at me and I dutifully return the smile, remembering to project my chin forward as I do so, The chin projection is surprisingly difficult, but according to the makeup artist who dusted powder over my face just now, worth it as the best way to ensure as flattering a camera angle as possible at all times. What are your tips for finding a forever love? Your personal tips? Accept there's no such thing and move on, I think. Well, I say, everyone is different and every love story is different. I look at Sonia. She famously likes actual answers to her actual questions. Clearly, I'm not going to be able to leave it there. And you're asking how each person can find their own individual love story. In my experience, you can sometimes divert interviewers by repeating their questions back at them. Exactly. Sonia leans in towards me, her head tilted to one side, an interested, inquiring expression on her face. Oh, she's good. I now genuinely almost do want to answer her truthfully. Except also I do not want to upset my readers, to whom I am very grateful and about whom I care a lot, and no one enjoys having illusions shattered, and they think that I very much believe in love and am waiting with bated breath for my own Prince Charming to come along. So I'm going to continue to hide the truth behind platitudes. I think you just have to let it happen, I say soulfully, still chin projecting. A discreet but definite snort comes from my left. Jake. I freeze for a moment in slight shock. It's one thing someone being rude to me one-on-one behind the scenes, and quite another them snorting at me on national television, before realising that, frustratingly, my only option is to ignore him if I want to retain my dignity. Sonia does not ignore it. Jake Stone, divorce lawyer to the stars. You look and sound sceptical. Are you suggesting that there's no such thing as just letting it happen? I take it you don't believe in love? Well, of course he doesn't. Surely all divorce lawyers have seen so many warring couples that it would put them off love for life. Presumably that was why they asked him on the show in the first place. To provide a balance to the pro-finding love comments they knew I would make. However, on the contrary, says snotty, over-smooth and over-handsome Jake, I do believe in love. I believe that most of my clients have just been unlucky and there's no reason they shouldn't eventually find true love. Or perhaps they were truly in love when they married, but they've genuinely grown apart due to circumstance or differing personal development. So, yes, I do believe in love. I find myself nodding in reluctant appreciation. Despite how extremely annoying he is, I do have to give it to him. That was a very good marketing spiel, and almost genuine seeming. If someone's hurting from the breakdown of their marriage and wants to go back for more romance, what better divorce lawyer to choose than someone who has a touchy-feely, you will love again side to him, as well as being, reputedly, the most ferocious in the business. I googled him when he rudely got his phone out to avoid talking to me while we were waiting. That's so lovely, says Sonia. Why, then, did you audibly snort in response to Freya's beautiful answer? I felt that it was hollow. Jake speaks so affably that it takes a moment for the words to achieve their full impact. When they do, Sonia gasps, and I clench my jaw, purse my lips and narrow my eyes, until I remember that I don't want to disappoint my readers and plaster a big smile back onto my face. The whole point of my job is to make people happy. My readers do not want to witness me getting really irritated by this man. They want to know that I'm a happy, nice, kind, unlucky in love but will eventually find my soulmate woman, just like my heroines. Which I am, I hope. Except for the eventually finding my soulmate bit. No soulmate exists for me. I smile some more, going for chin and warmth projection. It's working. Sonia's returning my smile like she can't help herself. We're going to forget about the hollow comment and move on. I open my mouth to elaborate on believing in love, and then Jake leans towards me and speaks quietly. So quietly that it almost certainly won't be picked up by either Sonia or the microphones.
I saw that, he says. The eye narrowing.
I freeze for a second long moment, and then apply an enormous effort not to react to how incredibly rude and annoying he is. Breathe deeply and do not narrow my eyes again. Instead, I carry on smiling and pretend that he said absolutely nothing. Hollow? Asks Sonia, raising an eyebrow in Jake's direction. Damn it.
Miss Cassidy doesn't seem particularly convincing about believing in love,
Jake explains. I turn to stare at him. What the actual? Is he trying to ruin my entire career? I have to appear to believe in love. And I do. For some people. Just not for myself. Well, not for a lot of people, actually. Look at the British divorce statistics, which Jake, of all people, should know about. I decide to laugh. Not too much and not too little before saying, that's funny. I'm not really sure how someone can seem convincing about believing in love. Of course I believe in love. It's all around us. It actually is, insofar as the studio is decorated for Valentine's Day with pinkness and fluffiness and hearts galore. I adjust the cerise velvet cushion behind me.
The thing is,
Jake leans forward again the way he did before, except this time he isn't lowering his voice. So everything he says is going to be broadcast live to the programme's 3 million viewers, many of them my readers.
It's dangerous to peddle false narratives around love.
Dangerous? Sonia queries while I focus very hard on maintaining a quizzical smile and not re-narrowing my eyes at Jake. Or just digging my kitten heel into his foot. For a fairly low heel, it's very spiky and would definitely hurt him, and right now that would give me great pleasure. Even though I am at all other times extremely pacifist and non-violent. His response drags me back from a lovely fantasy about crushing his toes.
Writers of romance, like Miss Cassidy, peddle dangerous nonsense,
he says, still with that affable air, as though he's chatting about the weather or his views on the latest Italian restaurant, rather than being incredibly insulting and also possibly costing me a lot of sales.
They give people, often women, unreasonable expectations.
You mean they expect their other halves to be like the heroes and heroines of romance books
and are disappointed? Sonia checks. Exactly, Jake confirms. As Sonia, to my horror, begins to nod, I leap in with, I think that it might be a bit of a stretch to suggest that someone reads about a lovely hero or heroine, looks at their spouse and thinks, they don't bear much of a resemblance to that hero. Oh, I know, I'll divorce him. Sadly, says Jake, it happens all too often. What? I ask. I'm really annoyed now. It can't. It just can't. I mean, really, how likely is that? Not at all. Surely. You'd be surprised, Jake tells me. Yes, I would. I agree. I suddenly think of something. Especially since my protagonists are all people with flaws. Not models of perfection. I smile, probably a little smugly if I'm honest, because I feel that's an excellent argument. Jake shakes his head. That's like the cliched interview question, what's your biggest fault, isn't it? No one ever says, well, I'm always late, I'm careless, and I can't write reports to save my life. They say things like, I'm too much of a perfectionist because I'm so keen to do the job well. And your protagonists don't have bad flaws, do they? They don't say nasty things about people. They aren't huge infestation-inducing slobs. They don't torture insects. As a divorce lawyer, he must hear about some very bad behaviour, I reflect, before I focus on the matter in hand, i.e., beating him in this argument. Obviously, I say with dignity, my characters don't have those particular flaws. They actually have worse flaws. As I pause to gather my thoughts, Jake says sarcastically, oh, they're murderers or thieves? Far worse, I say, ignoring his childish interjection. I mean, they have flaws that have often been developed by their life experiences. For example, if a person has had several disastrous romances, they might find it difficult to commit to a relationship. Bad argument, Jake replies triumphantly. That person might be incredibly nice. They've just encountered some unpleasant partners. He is so annoying. Because he is, of course, right. In that, of course, the protagonists in romances have to be people that most readers will like, because if the readers weren't rooting for them, they probably wouldn't enjoy the books. I need to regroup. I look at the studio audience, a sea of avid faces, and then at the cameras trained on us, which are sending live footage of this conversation directly into people's houses all round the country. Hello, Maud. It does not matter what Jake Stone thinks of me. It does matter what the viewers think of me. I produce a pleasant smile and say, I would suggest that someone finding their partner lacking when compared to a fictional romantic hero is a symptom rather than a cause of their relationship breakdown. While that is, to some extent, true, Jake says, not missing a beat, it is also the case that most relationships, romantic or otherwise, go through difficult patches, and it is better to work at them than to be told by the book you're reading or the film you're watching that your partner is lacking. I open my mouth to say that that's ridiculous and how suggestible does he think people are, and then close it again on the off chance that they are that suggestible and I'd be insulting those people. Have you read any of Freya's books?" asks Sonia into the pause left by me not replying. "No," Jake says, "but I know a woman who did read a lot of them." "And who is that?" I ask, not sure that I'll like his answer. "My ex-wife," he says, like he's playing the trump card to end all trump cards. "Ooh," says Sonia, looking delighted. "Was she the one who instigated the divorce, and did she cite Freya's books?" For the first time, Jake looks a little uncomfortable, and I realise that he was goaded into saying something he now regrets, and that he, obviously, doesn't want to talk about the circumstances of his own divorce on national television. And despite his nasty and also correct cynicism about my views on love, I do actually feel a bit sorry for him. So I give him a little helping hand and move the conversation away from the details of his divorce, asking, "And yet you still believe in love?" "Certainly," he says. "And that one sentence there demonstrates to me that I don't think you do. Your use of the word yet." Nonsense! I cannot believe I was trying to help him. I also cannot believe that, courtesy of him, I seem to be digging an unforeseen hole for myself. I do not want to alienate or upset my lovely readers. Suddenly, though, something occurs to me. Maybe Jake Stone is doing me a favour. It's very hard work constantly pretending that I think I'm going to find my own true love one day. As time goes on, I get more and more questions about it, and they're more and more difficult to answer. And people like honesty, don't they? And I do believe in love, I really do. Just not for myself. I sit and blink for a couple of seconds. Then I come to a snap decision. I'm going to go for it. I didn't expect to, but I am. I'm going to do it now. Admit the truth. I do very much believe in love, I say. I mean, as we've said, look around us, figuratively. We all know many people who are clearly deeply in love, in wonderfully satisfying, passionate relationships, adorable couples. I don't think anyone could sensibly suggest that love is not a thing, or that forever love is not a thing. It is merely that I, personally, don't think forever love is for me. "Oh, my goodness," breathes Sonia. "Freya?" "Huh," says Jake, slightly frowning, looking satisfyingly wind out of sails. "I love your honesty," Sonia says. "Is this?" She lowers her voice as though we aren't on national TV but are sharing confidences in one of our kitchens over a glass of wine. "The first time you've admitted this?" "Yes." I'm really not sure now whether this was a good idea. "So, you've been pretending all this time?" she continues. "Well, I'm trying to think really fast. Would it be bad for me to own up to a teensy pretense that really hasn't hurt anyone? I mean, the whole of fiction is pretending, isn't it? In that it's made up. And fiction is great because books and films make people happy. I mean, obviously not if they cause people to get divorced, but that clearly isn't actually true." Sonia's been studying me while I've been thinking. Now she gives a decisive nod, and I realise that, oh crap, she's made up her mind about me, and it might be good, but also it might be bad. I try for an innocent, helpless little smile. So you've been pulling the wool over your readers' eyes by pretending to believe in happy ever after love in order to sell more books? Asks Jake. He's such a weasel. I shake my head, speechless. I actually want to kill him. Is he trying to upset people and ruin my career?
No, I don't think so, Sonia pronounces. I think Freya has just felt unable to admit to her feelings about her own love life because she cares so much about her readers and didn't want them to feel bad for her.
Oh my goodness. The relief that she seems to have come down on my side. I could kiss her. Exactly, I say with great emphasis.
I think it's great that you finally felt able to admit the truth and that we helped you do that, coos Sonia. I think it's incredibly brave of you, because these are private feelings.
Yes, they are private. I should not have come on national TV with someone as famously probing as Sonia. She's such a dog with a bone. But you don't realise initially. She lulls you into a false sense of security, like at first she's like a cute cuddly labradoodle chasing a fake bone, and then she morphs into a terrifying Rottweiler trying to eat you. Private feelings of, lying? Jake snarks.
No,
says Sonia, while I bristle internally.
Private feelings of loneliness, which she didn't want to burden her readers with. But now, I think your readers are ready. We're here to support you, Freya.
Thank you, Sonia. I'm quite confused, if I'm honest. I don't really know how we got to this point. I do know that I'm very happily single and need no support whatsoever. But if Sonia wants to play it that I need support, that's totally fine with me. It's a lot better than being criticised by Jake in front of the nation.
We're also here to help you.
Sonia's pressing her earpiece, nodding and smiling so much that I'm beginning to feel slightly alarmed. What are her producers saying to her that's making her look so excited? She turns to Jake.
Would you say that Freya is the exact opposite of you, Jake?
Well, yep. Jake does look as though he's almost squirming, insofar as a large, handsome, overconfident-looking man can look squirmy. I'm guessing that he's also alarmed about the direction in which Sonia's taking the conversation.
So, to clarify,
Sonia picks up a pen from the coffee table in front of her and points it in our direction.
Freya, you write romance for a living, but you don't believe romance is for you. And Jake, you're a divorced divorce lawyer who does believe in romance, and you believe there's a happy romantic ending out there for you.
We both nod, me quite happily, relieved that Sonia doesn't seem to have anything sinister in mind after all. Jake, not looking so happy. Serves him right. Well, Sonia presses her ear again and then nods again. Great. It's been brilliant to meet you both. Thank you so much. And suddenly, the two of us are being ushered off and back down the corridor, even though it didn't really feel, to me anyway, as though we'd properly concluded the interview. Maybe that's TV for you, or maybe we got off topic and took up too much time. Soraya meets us in the corridor and tells us we were both fantastic before we're shown out of the building. I realise as we leave that I didn't manage to get Sonia's autograph. I'll have to email someone and ask. It was great to meet you, I tell Jake sarcastically as we part ways. Oh, likewise.
His sneer is so impressive that I laugh out loud. He's getting to me a lot less now that we're done and never going to see each other again. In fact, I'm going to put having met him to good use. He can feature looks-wise as a hero in my next book and personality-wise as a villain. Bye, I say cheerily as I hop into another paid-for by-the-show cab. It is so nice to have the interview and my brief acquaintance with Jake done and dusted.
Chapter 4. Jake. Following my frustrating appearance on TV, I have a busy day with back-to-back client meetings and calls. In my last meeting of the afternoon, a new female client tells me that the last straw for her in her marriage was going home after having been to the cinema to watch a rom-com with girlfriends, who afterwards all gushed about their own partners. Her husband had forgotten she was out and had locked the front door and nodded off in front of the TV. When she'd finally got inside, she'd looked at him, squinting at her, with one sleep-crumpled cheek and his shirt hanging out over his slightly squidgy belly. Her words. She'd done the comparison with the hero in the film she'd just watched, and her husband had not matched up. She decided then and there to walk. I would so much like Freya Cassidy to have heard about this. Freya would probably have done one of her perfect little smiles, all cute and misleadingly sweet and innocent looking, and trotted out her symptom rather than cause line again. And while that is, of course, a valid point, I really do think that a lot of people, when vulnerable, can be misled into thinking that their relationship is lacking, when they really just need to work at it. People getting their heads filled with fake romantic nonsense is not great. And it's mind-blowing that a woman peddling such ridiculous and dangerous fiction doesn't believe in love herself. Taking the whole do as I say and not as I do thing to great heights. I blink, realising that my client has spoken, and I didn't hear what she said. I'm never distracted like this. I apologise profusely and focus very hard on her until the meeting concludes. I find myself thinking again about Freya Cassidy as I pack some papers together to take home to work on this evening. It's annoying to be left with the feeling that someone whose work you thoroughly despise has, in some way, bested you. I shake my head. It doesn't matter. I'm never going to see her again, and I'm never going to agree to appear on morning television again. By the time I've got home from work and parked the e-bike I picked up outside my office, my head's clear, and this morning seems a long way in the past. I'm going to go to the gym, do some more work, and then head to the pub for a quick pint with Minnock, a friend who lives round the corner, and my day will end much more enjoyably than it began. I pull out my phone to text him and, wow, the phone's alight with many dozens of messages from friends and family. I feel extreme worry for a second or two until I realise that nothing seriously bad has happened to anyone I know. What has happened is that everyone I know has left work and seen that the argument between Freya Cassidy and me has blown up. There are videos of us arguing. They're obviously edited for highlights I see when I watch the first couple, but at the same time, they're actually quite representative of what did happen. We did thoroughly dislike each other. Well, I thoroughly disliked her, or at least her work, and I'm guessing she didn't love me from the way things panned out. And we did argue. And apparently, millions of people watched us, and a lot of them re-watched us, and a lot of people who did not originally see us now have. There are also already actual memes of us, and apparently, according to my friend Afan, they're multiplying by the literal second. I don't do social media at all. It's a whole other world that operates in complete parallel to my real-life world. It's odd to think that, without anyone telling me, all of this could have been happening online, without me ever having found out. Just passed me by. It has not passed a lot of people by, though. It's crazy. Yeah, wow, basically. I send brief replies to everyone who's messaged me, no small job, before getting changed for the gym. Hopefully this will all have blown over in a couple of hours' time. Nope, I discover when I emerge from the gym. That was total social media naivety. I have a lot more messages, many of them from people I haven't heard from in quite a while, some of whom should surely not even have my number. It seems like everyone I've ever met has seen the clips. Freya and I have gone massively viral, in the words of my cousin's 13-year-old daughter. I really have no way to respond other than to hunker down, sparing the odd brief thought for Freya and wondering whether she's experiencing the same, and not go for a pint this evening after all. We can go tomorrow. This is bound to blow over soon, I'm sure. Another 5-second wonder story will come along. My phone is a lot quieter in the morning. It seems that everyone saw the clips yesterday, and it's already blowing over. Good news. If I had Freya's number, I think, as I grab a bagel and a banana from my kitchen on my way out for work, I'd almost be tempted to text her to see how she is. I can't imagine she's experienced something like this before either. If she weren't one of the most annoying people I've ever met, I'd quite like to discuss our mutual weird experience with her. Fortunately, I obviously don't have her number, so I can't message her. And that's that. I'm off to work, and by the end of the day, this will all just be an anecdote for future dinner parties. Except, mid-morning, Veronica, my PA, tells me she has a very important caller on the line. She's behaving a little oddly, if I'm honest. Eyes rounded, almost popping out of her head, and mouthing something indecipherable at me. She's been working for me for over 2 years, and never in that time has she referred to someone as a very important caller, even when the callers are very important. I'm wondering if the caller is royalty. Veronica is an ardent royalist. Is this breaking news? Another royal divorce? Oh. As soon as she puts the caller through, I realise what has happened. It's bloody Sonia. She sounds a little breathless. Jake, I only have a minute while the ads are on. I know that Freya's on board. Your chemistry together, the way you argued, viral. It was already kicking off even as you were on yesterday. We'd love to set the two of you a challenge and then have you back on the show. No, I say, immediately. I'm not stupid. Lesson learnt. Jake, darling, I know you'll agree. We'll meet for a drink later.